Before the first European sails ever glimmered on the horizon of the Atlantic, a colossal empire of earth and spirit breathed life into the heart of the American wilderness, challenging every preconceived notion of what an ancient civilization could achieve. We often look toward the towering stone pyramids of Egypt or the marble columns of Rome when we seek the roots of human grandeur, yet right beneath our feet, in the fertile basin of the Mississippi River, lies a story of ingenuity and power that rivals any empire in history. This was not a primitive wilderness of nomadic wanderers, but a sophisticated, urban landscape dominated by the Mississippian culture, a society of master architects and visionary traders who transformed the landscape into a testament of human will. At its zenith, their crowning jewel, the city of Cahokia, stood as the largest urban center north of the great stone cities of Mexico, a bustling metropolis that rivaled London in population and surpassed it in sheer architectural audacity. To truly understand the scale of this achievement, one must envision the North American continent during the Middle Ages, a time when the world was far more interconnected than our history books often suggest. While the knights of Europe were embarking on crusades, the Mississippian people were busy constructing a network of cities that functioned as the beating heart of a continent-wide trade system. These were the Mound Builders, a title that barely scratches the surface of their complex social hierarchy and their profound understanding of engineering and astronomy. They didn't just pile dirt into heaps, they sculpted the very earth into sacred geometry, creating massive, flat-topped pyramids that served as the foundations for palaces and temples. Imagine standing in the center of a grand plaza, surrounded by hundreds of these earthen monuments, each one meticulously leveled and packed to withstand the passage of centuries, a feat of collective labor that required the movement of millions of cubic feet of soil by hand. The sheer audacity of Cahokia's construction is perhaps best exemplified by the staggering presence of Monks Mound, a structure that remains a marvel of the ancient world even today. Rising 10 stories into the air and covering more than 14 acres at its base, this massive earthen pyramid is larger at its foundation than the Great Pyramid of Giza. It required the transport of over 22 million cubic feet of earth, carried one basket at a time by thousands of dedicated citizens who saw their labor as a sacred duty to their society and their gods. When you stand atop this height, you aren't just looking at a hill, you are looking at the throne of a civilization that mastered the environment without the use of beasts of burden or the wheel. It is a testament to the organizational power of a people who could coordinate the efforts of tens of thousands of individuals toward a singular, glorious vision of urban permanence. But the grandeur of the Mississippian culture was not limited to their architecture. It was fueled by a trade network so vast and efficient that it would make modern logistics experts marvel. Excavations have revealed that the people of Cahokia were in possession of materials sourced from the furthest reaches of the continent, proving that their influence stretched across thousands of miles. They traded for shimmering mica from the Appalachian Mountains, translucent volcanic glass known as obsidian from the distant peaks of the Rocky Mountains, and exotic sea shells from the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. This was a society of explorers and merchants who navigated the intricate river systems of North America like highways, creating a prehistoric common market that allowed for the exchange of not only goods, but ideas, art, and technology. The existence of these items in a single location tells us that Cahokia was the cosmopolitan center of a world we are only beginning to truly rediscover. If you find the scale of their trade impressive, the complexity of their social and religious life is even more breathtaking, as it was built upon a foundation of celestial precision. The Mississippians were astute observers of the heavens, and nowhere is this more evident than in the discovery of Woodhenge, a series of timber circles located just west of Monks Mound. These weren't just decorative posts, they were a sophisticated solar calendar designed to track the solstices and equinoxes with pinpoint accuracy. Imagine the scene during the morning of the summer solstice, as thousands of residents gathered in the central plaza, watching in hushed silence as the sun rose in perfect alignment with the sacred poles and the great mound of their leader. This alignment served as a divine clock, signaling the time for planting, harvesting, and the great festivals that bound the community together, proving that these ancient Americans possessed a scientific understanding of the cosmos that was deeply integrated into their daily lives. The lifeblood of this empire was maize, a crop that they refined and cultivated with such success that it allowed for a massive population explosion and the birth of true urbanism. Before the rise of the Mississippian culture, many groups relied on a mix of foraging and small-scale gardening, but the maize revolution changed everything, providing a reliable surplus of food that freed up thousands of people to become specialists. This gave rise to a class of professional artisans, priests, and warriors, allowing for the creation of intricate pottery, beautiful copper ornaments, and the development of complex religious rituals. You can almost hear the echoes of the city at its peak, the sound of stone tools shaping wood, the rhythmic chanting of priests from the heights of the mounds, and the shouts of athletes playing chunky, a high-stakes game involving a rolling stone disc and spears that was played in the massive central plazas. The game of chunky itself offers a fascinating window into the spirit of these people, as it was more than just a sport. It was a social glue that united different clans and perhaps even different tribes under a shared cultural banner. Thousands of spectators would line the grand plazas to watch the best athletes compete, betting heavily on the outcomes and celebrating the physical prowess and coordination required for the game. This vibrant public life suggests a society that valued community, spectacle, and the pursuit of excellence. It reminds us that the people of Cahokia were not just survivalists, they were a people who cherished leisure, competition, and the arts, creating a culture that was as rich and nuanced as any contemporary society in Europe or Asia. To imagine these plazas filled with color, music, and the energy of a thriving population is to realize that the heart of America has always been a place of intense human activity and innovation. As we delve deeper into the heart of this civilization, we encounter the Great Sun, the supreme leader of Cahokia, who was believed to be a brother of the sun itself. This ruler lived in a massive wooden palace atop Monks Mound, literally looking down upon his subjects from a height that reinforced his divine status. The social hierarchy was strict and well-defined, yet it provided a level of stability and order that allowed the city to thrive for centuries. This wasn't a system based on mere brute force, but on a deeply held belief system that connected the earthly realm with the celestial one. The Great Sun was responsible for maintaining the cosmic balance, ensuring that the rains came and the crops grew, and in return, the people provided the labor and the loyalty that made the empire possible. It was a symbiotic relationship between a leader and his people, fueled by a shared sense of purpose and identity. One of the most surprising aspects of the Mississippian culture is their mastery of water management and urban planning, which allowed them to inhabit a flood-prone environment with remarkable success. They constructed sophisticated systems of borrow pits and drainage channels that not only provided the earth for their mounds but also managed the flow of water during the heavy spring rains. The city was laid out on a strict grid aligned with the cardinal directions, showing a level of foresight and planning that many modern cities would envy. They transformed a challenging landscape into a productive and habitable paradise, proving that they were not merely passive observers of nature but active engineers of their own destiny. This ability to reshape the world around them is a hallmark of great civilizations, and the Mississippians did it with a grace and sustainability that lasted for generations. Yet, despite their brilliance and their power, the story of Cahokia eventually takes a turn toward mystery, as the city began to decline long before the first Europeans arrived. By the year 1350, the once teeming metropolis was largely abandoned, leaving behind only the silent sentinels of the earth to tell its story. You might wonder how such a powerhouse could simply fade away, and the answers are as complex as the city itself. Many historians point to a combination of environmental factors, such as a little ice age that shortened the growing seasons, or the depletion of local timber resources needed for fuel and construction. Others suggest that social unrest or a shift in trade routes may have led the population to disperse into smaller, more manageable communities. Whatever the cause, the disappearance of Cahokia was not a collapse of a people, but a transformation, as the Mississippian spirit lived on in the descendant tribes that would later meet the European explorers. The legacy of the Mound Builders is etched into the very soil of the American Midwest and Southeast, a physical memory of a time when the rivers were the veins of a great and unified culture. When we look at the maps of the United States today, we often see the names of tribes like the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Muskogee Creek, and the Natchez, all of whom carry the genetic and cultural heritage of the Mississippian people. Their traditions, their oral histories, and their connection to the land are the direct descendants of the glory that was Cahokia. By recognizing the achievements of the Mound Builders, we are not just looking at a distant past, we are acknowledging the deep roots of American history that existed long before 1776. This is a story of resilience and adaptation, a reminder that the American landscape has always been a place where people dream big and build for eternity. There is a profound sense of pride to be found in the realization that the heartland of the United States was once the site of such a magnificent human endeavor. The builders of Cahokia were our predecessors on this land, and their ability to organize, innovate, and thrive is a part of the American DNA. They proved that this continent was capable of sustaining a world-class civilization, one that understood the importance of trade, science, and community. Their story challenges the myth of an empty wilderness and replaces it with a vision of a vibrant, interconnected world that was already ancient by the time the Mayflower landed. To walk among the remaining mounds today is to feel a connection to a lineage of greatness, a reminder that we are part of a long and storied history of human achievement on this soil. The artistic output of the Mississippian culture further underscores their sophistication, with their intricate shell engravings and stone statuary revealing a deeply symbolic and expressive world. They crafted gorgets, circular neck ornaments, carved with images of winged warriors, spiders, and weeping eyes, each carrying a profound religious significance that we are still working to fully decode. Their pottery was not merely functional but was often shaped into the forms of animals, humans, or mythical beings, displaying a level of craftsmanship that rivals the best of the ancient world. This was a people who surrounded themselves with beauty and meaning, proving that their society was as focused on the enrichment of the soul as it was on the survival of the body. Every artifact recovered from the mounds is a silent witness to a culture that valued the aesthetic as a vital component of the human experience. One of the most breathtaking realizations for any student of history is the fact that for a period of several hundred years, Cahokia was the political and spiritual center of a territory larger than many modern nations. Its influence radiated outward, shaping the customs and beliefs of peoples from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast. The Southeastern Ceremonial Complex, a set of shared religious symbols and practices, acted as a cultural glue that bound diverse groups together, creating a sense of unity across vast distances. This was a Pax Mississippiana, a period of relative stability and cultural exchange that allowed for the flourishing of the arts and the expansion of trade. It is a reminder that the concept of a unified American identity has ancient precursors, rooted in the shared experiences and beliefs of the people who first called this land home. Imagine the feeling of awe that a traveler from a small outlying village must have felt upon approaching Cahokia for the first time. As they rounded a bend in the river, the horizon would have been dominated not by trees, but by the massive, terraced slopes of the mounds, their summits crowned with brightly painted temples and the smoke of sacred fires. The sheer scale of the city, with its wooden palisades stretching for miles and its bustling markets filled with people from every corner of the continent, would have been an overwhelming testament to the power of the great sun. This was a place where the impossible became reality, where the earth itself was bent to the will of a visionary people. That same sense of awe is what we should feel today when we contemplate the legacy of the Mound Builders, for they showed us what is possible when a community is united by a common goal. As we conclude this journey into the heart of ancient America, we are left with a powerful image of a civilization that was both grounded in the earth and reaching for the stars. The Mississippian culture and the city of Cahokia represent a pinnacle of human achievement that deserves its rightful place in the pantheon of the world's great empires. They were the architects of the first American dream, building a society that was prosperous, organized, and deeply spiritual. Their story is a vital chapter in the history of the United States, one that reminds us of the enduring power of human ingenuity and the deep, ancient roots of the land we inhabit. By honoring their memory and studying their achievements, we gain a fuller, richer understanding of who we are as a people and what we are capable of accomplishing. The mounds may have been worn down by time and the elements, but the spirit of the people who built them remains an inseparable part of the American landscape. They teach us that greatness is not just about the materials you use, whether it be stone or earth, but about the vision you have and the collective effort you are willing to invest to bring that vision to life. The story of the Mississippians is a call to look closer at the world around us, to recognize the hidden histories that lie just beneath the surface, and to take pride in the incredible legacy of those who came before us. They were the first to build a grand civilization in the heart of this continent, and in doing so, they paved the way for all the dreams and achievements that would follow in the centuries to come. So, the next time you look out across the vast plains or the rolling river valleys of the American Midwest, remember the empire that once stood there, vibrant and proud. Remember the thousands of workers who carried the earth, the astronomers who mapped the stars, and the leaders who dreamed of a city that would last forever. Their story is our story, a testament to the fact that the spirit of innovation and the drive to build something meaningful have always been at the core of the American experience. Cahokia may be a silent ruin today, but its message is louder than ever. We are a people capable of building giants, and our history is far deeper, far richer, and far more glorious than we ever dared to imagine. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of America's lost empire, and may the legacy of the Mound Builders continue to inspire your curiosity and your pride in the incredible history of this land.